You can probably already tell what type of situation we're getting ourselves into just based on that bit of a cinematic they gave us. Hey everyone, and welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Previously, we made our way through Lanayru Desert fully, in terms of actually exploring it. We found a bunch of generators, I talked about a bunch of nonsense that had nothing to do with our adventure, and we finally made it into this mining facility, which will hopefully link us to the Temple of Time, an area apparently in which Zelda was last spotted to going towards. But unfortunately the route she took has been blocked off, so this is our best bet. This time we're going to be exploring this area and trying to get there. Tagalak Aracha. This larval monster is said to live for 1,000 years, during which time it is continually growing. Though the larva is small in size, it is quite ferocious, is quite often found swarms beneath the sand. It tends to leap towards many objects such as yourself. Yep, so these are things we have to watch out for, and I believe these guys can actually drop jelly blobs, if I'm correct, I believe. So, if that sounds like something you may need, or, you know, if that sounds like something that'd be, well, I guess, yeah, there's something you may need, then that'll hopefully be a bit of good news for you. Oh boy, they hit a whole green rupee behind that one. That was pretty nice. So this dungeon's going to have a lot of sand, if you couldn't tell. I mean, if you couldn't tell with the fact we're in a desert. But it's also going to have a lot to do with the time shift stones and the beetle. Pretty much it's going to combine all these aspects into one. This, wow, I made fun of that green rupee for being locked behind one, but that is a better reward than whatever that was. So yeah, if you have any fear of bugs or arachnophobia, I think is what it's called, or anything like that, I'm sorry, this may not be the the episode for you, but just to be fair, Zelda as a series, as a fair warning, kind of always has spiders as enemies and stuff. Yeah, it's a pretty notorious thing, actually. Go ahead and stab them. Makes you feel any better, they die to one hit. They are very weak creatures, so you don't have to worry about them too much, hopefully. Let's see if we can get a Skyward Strike going on this guy. Takes 2 hits, and again, I just don't feel like wasting bombs, especially here. We only have 8 going into this. This is already going to be a bit of a rough go. There we go, got rid of that. And let's see, yeah, okay, so that's really nothing we need. So here is where we're going to need our beetle. This is interesting because usually you get like an item before the dungeon. If you can tell, there's kind of a cycle to Skyward Sword, and most there is to most Zelda games. You know, first we saved the Kikwis, then we got the Slingshot, which allowed us to then make our way to the first temple, where we then got the beetle. The Elden Province, we first had to find like our way up to the mountain or whatever, right? But midway of doing that, we had to help this Mongol by defeating some enemies. And then by doing so, we got the myths, which then let us make all of our way up to the top, which then eventually let us get the bomb bag. And then for here in this Lanayru area, we arrive, we get the beetle upgrade, which is an upgrade for our beetle, which allowed us to get to this dungeon, and maybe we'll get some more goodies here. Maybe. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Again, that isn't just to like generalize all of Zelda as a series, because again, it's not all just like this, but it is kind of interesting how there are these connections of, you can kind of see where the direction is, go do something, then you get the reward. Like this area was finding those generators, solving the puzzle, and then we got here. So it's a bit of a cycle to it. Here we have a switch that opens our way to that chest. And yep, the worst part actually about these guys is the fact that they stick to ceilings. That kind of sucks because they can fall on you, and I find that disturbing. When I was a kid, I used to really hate, like, bugs in general. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan now, but, like, when I was young, I was petrified of, like, even ladybugs and stuff. Like, it was bad. Thankfully, it's not nearly that bad anymore. Really, like, the only bugs I don't like or anything that is, like, venomous or, you know, can actually cause, like, real harm to you. That's really, like, the only stuff I fear. I used to hate bees, too, and run away from them, like they were the plague, and now I actually really like bees because I know what they do, and I actually find, like, the big fuzzy ones kind of cute and stuff, and yeah, so, you know, not all bugs are evil or mean. More of these guys here. Oh, I should have gotten my shield out when I was trying to. Wasn't expecting them to immediately go on the offense, but that's fine. Let's see. So let's see if we can get them in a... Ooh, dodge that. There we go. Get rid of those 3 skulls. Again, these guys aren't really super tough. Just wait for them to make an action. Hopefully you're not immediately going to go red too. You are, okay. That's fine. We just back up, slice. There we go. Yeah. So just wait for them to take action. And generally, that's going to be easier than anything we can really accomplish on our own. Some more boxes. Oh, see them leap. Yep, so they can see they leap around, and those can hurt you, of course, but shouldn't hopefully be too difficult. Ooh, bombs, thank goodness. Actually, that's what I really want. A bunch of boxes here. Really can't do anything with that, though, right now. But we'll keep note of that being there. We have a locked area that way, and a locked area that way. One by switch, one by key. Okay, so let's take a gander around here, see what we can uncover. So we can actually push these boxes around, if you didn't know. Of course, there's the metal one, which is a bit heavier, and then there's these wooden ones, which, you know, are a little bit lighter. If we move these over here, can we make our way up to this spot? We, in fact, can, because the staircase is broken. I even know how, like, in a lot of games where like there's an aged area, like the staircase falls apart, especially if it's made of stone like that. How it like looks like it wasn't even a staircase there at some point. It's a little weird. Let's see, we have a bit of a statue here we can leave with, and we have a spot for bombs, or a spot for a bomb. Don't really know what the practical purpose of these totems are with the bomb growing on top of it, or if that was actually the original design or not, but either way it's kind of weird. That is a deep drop, I should say. That's a long drop, don't want to go down there. That area is blocked off, but we do have access to this spot, as well as a electric choo-choo. Ah, damn it. Somebody I can kill them before they hit the ground. Nope, they got me. Ending up here, we're going to find keys as well. Thankfully, no electric keys so far, it seems. Some ammo we can use to kill them if we wanted to, which is nice. And a chest. What's it gonna be? You got a small key. This key will open a locked door. You can always use what's in this area. Yep. Something that kind of reminds me of before I did YouTube stuff. Something I actually did was to spend time with my. That's embarrassing. Something I would do to spend time with my family, specifically my sister and my mother, was I'd play games for them sometimes, like, and I would just show them the game because, you know, this is something I kind of want to do for a while, was talk about games and stuff because it's, you know, kind of something that I enjoy doing. But something I would do just to spend time with them as well, and then get them to kind of understand kind of what I enjoy as well, and then, you know, they can understand it as well. So I played a lot of games for them, and one of the series I did play was actually the Zelda series, and Skyward Sword was a game I actually had played before for them fully. I'd played the game fully before for them. I don't know why I said that twice. And every time I would find a, like, chest in any Zelda game, I remember one of the fun things to always do was what is going to be in that chest, whether it's, like, rupees, or a map, or a dungeon item, or whatever. And that was always kind of fun, because it was just a silly little thing to do. So you guys can, in the comments can do that too. Every time we find a chest, what do you think is going to be in it? Let me know. Target lock, Froak. Though this odd creature is cowardly by nature, will expose an array of densely packed defensive spines when approached or provoked. Yep, and so when they are like that, what you'll want to do is hit them. Not when they have this, their bellies exposed. When they are spiked, you want to hit them because that actually will send them flying, and if you get them into a wall or whatever, then they'll explode. But if you hit them when they are just, like, chilling, then you'll get hit by the recoil, so it's a lot more dangerous, and yeah. Definitely starting to get into more of the enemies that are a bit more annoying in my mind. Also, I don't know how we didn't take damage there, because he lunged at us, but it didn't hit us. That's weird. Another choo-choo electric one. Ooh, good thing I actually hit that, because I'm trying to back up for a second. Nothing there. Again, if you don't really know where to go, sometimes scout around with the beetle, because the beetle sometimes is your best bet. As you can see here, we actually have a bit of a crystal there. Unfortunately, we can't get to it with our beetle because of the, well, cage. But we know it's there, so we'll keep an eye on that. Speaking of keeping an eye on it, it seems as though we have another totem here with a bomb. Kind of a weird placement for it. Again, I don't know logistically what the purpose of it is, but maybe there is some thing. You know, it's kind of an ancient civilization, who's going to say for sure. As we are heading over here to this big time shift stone... Oh. Why didn't that break it? Why didn't that turn it on? It should turn it on. It's shrapnel. It can pierce through that. It should be able to go through that. Yeah, I think I should hit the box lid if I remember correctly, but I feel like that should work too. Anyway, as we're doing this, I want to talk about... Hopefully I don't... Yeah, I'm going to just do a 360 so I can get... Or not 360, I should say. Kind of like a 180 so I can actually not hit the wall there. Something I wanted to talk about was the fact that coming this year is... I already mentioned how I've talked about the fact that I think it was... It's been a few episodes now. I talked about that I played the Resident Evil, like, short message or whatever demo. Why'd I do this first? I need to step on the Switch. I'm an idiot. But yeah, let's talk about that. And then I mentioned, like, how I'm looking forward to, you know, like, other sequels, like Thousand Year Door one. That's one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game of all time. Well, definitely one of them. It's definitely one of my favorite games of all time, I should say. But one of the things I kind of talk about was the creepypasta craze growing up. And I know this is just kind of random seeming, but I was thinking about this actually because recently in my YouTube recommended I saw like a thing from like I think it was Bend Around actually. It was either Bend Around or it was like one of those older ones. Maybe it was like, yeah, it was the Zelda one I think. Target locked, BMOS. This is an ancient security mechanism. Its weak point is its eye. The eye is also a weapon that fires as a focused beam. Calculate 100% failure rate at any attempt to strike the eye with your sword while it's still on top of the pedestal. I recommend using a weapon that can strike at the high targets. Conversely, you can lower its head of the sword, they can reach it. Yeah, okay. So, yep, as you can see here, new enemy BMOS. See that blue line? Yep, that's its weak point. You want to hit that. And then, yep, when it gets down to your level, you want to stab its eye to actually take it out. Not too complicated of an enemy, but it can be annoying if you're not expecting it. Anyway, as I was saying, I got like recommended of like something with like one of those old creepypastas that made me think of when I was younger. Because back when I was growing up, like in the 2010s or whatever, creepypasta was kind of a major craze. And again, I know a lot of people probably don't, you know, who grew up nowadays don't really know about creep. I mean, they probably heard of it, right? But they aren't like super into it. But if any of you grew up in like 2010s, you probably know about creepypastas and like remember vague memories of certain ones standing out in your mind. Again, like Ben Drum was a big one for me, I remember. And I remember just being like fascinated as a kid and like, of course, finding a few of them scary when I was a kid. But nowadays, I remember I was like, you know what? I kind of want to go on a binge of some of the old ones and look at them, right? And so I went through and I started like watching people like who talk about like or who read it. One of the ones from when I was a kid was Somewhere Near Gamers. I remember I listened to do those back when he did the creepypasta stuff. And I remember just, like listening to them recently when I was doing other stuff on the side, like editing. And every time I'm here listening to these stories, I'm like, man, they are not good. They are not great. Don't get me wrong, there's some good ones. Like I like Ben Drun as a story, and I think that some of them are well written. But it's like, man, I cannot believe I found these things scary as a kid, or even took a lot of them seriously because they're not great. But I guess you can look at it this way too. With horror movies and as well, I look at it the same way. Like when I was a kid, I remember I think it was I don't remember which horror movie. It was some horror movie that had come out. I was growing up. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, if you running here, by the way, you can see you have this like conveyor belt that you have to go against, which makes you run out of stamina. You have to hit those stamina things to actually make it through fully. Those crystal chunks will actually do damage if you run into them. That's that. I should have explained that in the past. But anyway, it was some horror movie that came out when I was like really young. Not really young, but young. And I saw it like advertised on TV and stuff. I don't remember which one it is. Maybe I can try to look into it and figure it out. But anyway, it was like some horror movie, right? And I remember like, I was being terrified of it. And then I watched it like many years later just because it was like on TV and I was kind of bored. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And it was just laughably bad. And that goes for most horror movies. Like they're just, they're more funny to me than anything else. And maybe that just says that how messed up of a person I am, that I find, you know, things are supposed to be scary funny, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Anyway, here we have these spikes that come out of the ground, so you want to keep an eye out so we don't get kebabbed, because that would not be good. So we're going to make our way through that. But anyway, the reason I brought that up was just because, as I said, I was listening to a lot of the older creepypastas and stuff, and it just reminded me of my youth. And speaking of, there's another funny story to share with you guys, since again, there's nothing really for me to talk about while I'm solving some of these puzzles, because I don't have to explain anything new. It's just me walking around and looking around. In 2015, which I mentioned in one of my, I think it was my Animal Crossing video, was like a rougher year for my family. We had to, like my mother and my sister had to live in a different area, just due to some stuff that was going on at the time. Ouch. Due to some stuff that was going on at the time, in terms of like my sister's health. So she couldn't live at home. She had to live where doctors could actually treat her and stuff. And once, so she, of course, my mom would stay up there to actually help her. My dad would stay home to actually work. And so I would sometimes go up with my mom and stay with her for like a week or so. Just because, again, that's something I kind of do at times. And I remember, I think it'd have to be around, again, 2015-ish. Anyway, I remember my mom had only had her phone for like a little bit. And it was like the first time I had like access to the internet like a lot as a kid. Just because even though we had a computer, I just didn't really use it as a kid. And it was just something that I didn't have any desire to use for one. But also too, it was just something that I didn't really readily have the choice to use unless it was for like learning Spanish or something as a kid. But anyway, so I was of course just watching stuff about video games and stuff. Because you know, I was just, even back then I liked games and stuff, especially like Animal Crossing and stuff. And eventually, of course, I found creepypastas, and then I got enamored by them. I think as most kids do with horror, you can look at things like Five Nights at Freddy's nowadays, or the Poppy's Playtime, I think is what it's called. Like, those ones are big with kids, which, you know, whatever. But one that I remember listening to, but first, we actually have a chest here, but don't worry, I'll get almost back to it. I'll get back to this conversation as quick as I can, but first we have, you got the Gust Bellows. It is an ancient and mystical device capable of blowing an endless gust of wind. Yep, we have the dungeon item in question, another item. It is the Gust Bellows, which are a bit of a weird item. As you can see, you can get it out, and you have a blow button. Yep, we have a blow button in this game. And when doing so, you'll hear this angelic sound, and it spews out a bunch of air, and will let us clear out some sand. It is pretty clear what it does. Anyway, so help us get rid of these sand piles. I'm just gonna keep doing that as we go. Anyway, so one of the creepypastas that I remember hearing about and reading was, I think it was actually not even a creepypasta, it was the game. It was Slender, the original Slender, the 8 pages. I had seen some, I think it was gameplay. I think it was actually the Gamer from Mars's video, if you've heard of him before. Back then, I think it was his video talking about how Slender kind of isn't scary. And, you know, I watched it and I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's this tall guy, and I really didn't get it as a kid. Like, I understood what could be creepy about it, but even back then, I really just wasn't like super terrified immediately, just from like his looks or whatever. But of course, then, you know, then I looked more into it and I found like the lore of the game or whatever, and I just found it more interesting again than really scary by any means. But I remember then later, also there's or a gold skull in that chest there, that's nice. I remember then later that night, I was with my mom, and I was like kind of just like curious to see I was kind of curious to see what her like just telling it to her, right? Because I was just kind of thought it was a kind of interesting thing. And so I shared it with my mom. I was like, hey mom, you ever heard of this Slenderman thing? This guy called Slenderman. And as soon as I mentioned that, my mom immediately was like, oh, you mean the murders? And I remember, or not the murders, the stabbing, I think is what she said. The stabbing, and I remember I was just like in shock. I was like, the what? Because of course I was familiar with just the game, right? I'm talking about like the game guy and the weird stuff there. But my mom thought it was referring to the unfortunate real life or tragic real life case of the girl who unfortunately got, you know, I don't really want to go into too much in depth with their channel. We'll talk about this too, but there was a real life, unfortunately, attack where a girl got stabbed because two of her quote unquote friends wanted to like have Slenderman be like their leader or something like it. It's crazy weird, but essentially what it came down to was my mom thought I was talking about like this real life unfortunate case that happened, and I wasn't. And my mom mentioned, you know, the kind of case. She didn't go into any like gruesome details or anything, but she mentioned, yeah, you know, it's, and she thought that's what I was talking about, and I kind of mentioned, no, it's the guy from the game. And after that, I remember I decided, again, because curiosity kills the cat, and I'm a stinking kid, so why wouldn't I look this up? I started looking into it a little bit, and I remember reading like the case up or whatever, and all I could think about, I remember, was just like, man, like I was genuinely petrified. Like, for some reason, even though I saw like, oh, it's two humans who stabbed another human, you know, and it was just, they're two crazy people who thought Slenderman's actually real. For some reason, my childlike brain made it think, oh yeah, then that's probably real too, you know, then Slenderman's real. So then that night, I remember I'd sleep on the floor next to my mom, because there was only like 2 beds. My mom and my sister got to bed and I slept on the floor because I didn't really care. And I remember I was just sleeping, or not sleeping, I was just laying there with my mom's phone watching, I don't remember what video fully, but just watching a video on YouTube that was like supposed to be like a funny thing over and over again. I'm trying to get myself to like go to sleep, but I was just so petrified. And I remember in the room we were staying at, there was like this one window that led out to a parking lot area, and it was always like super dark, of course, out, right? But there was like one lamp that was in the distance, like across the street. There was a sidewalk that worked, and it'd flicker every now and then. Like, it's actually like the perfect setup for a horror like event. But I remember I would sit there, and every now and then I look out the window, and I was just petrified, and I was almost 100% certain that I'd look out the window one of those times, and I would just see the lanky figure of Slenderman. I think I actually would have keeled over if I saw that. And so Slenderman has a bit of a 01 on me as a kid. He was one of those characters who got me. Now that I've grown up, though, he's not nearly as intimidating. But also, you know, you hear that he likes stalking kids or whatever in the lore. So, and that's also another thing, too. Another thing that petrified me is the fact that he's, like, described as this, you know, being that stalks primarily children and, you know, presumably kills them. And that also was one of the reasons that terrified me. It's like, oh, I'm a kid, you know, and this guy stalks and kills kids, you know, I'm one of them. I could, you know, be one of his next victims, and it was terrifying, right? So I don't get how kids look at Five Nights at Freddy's, which, keep in mind, despite all of the crazy stuff that I know, I don't really know what the new lore is, but I've heard, like, some crazy stuff with, like, souls and stuff, like soul juice. Like, despite that, at its core, it's a game about a guy going into a Chuck E. Cheese, killing a bunch of kids, luring them into a back room, and then having their bodies later be stuffed into the suits that are being, you know, up on stage. Like, it seems like such a dark concept. And if I was a kid, I'm pretty sure it would terrify me just conceptually if I knew the story back then, right? So I don't get how... Because again, the Slenderman thing scared me just because of the fact that it was like, oh, he stalks kids. He eats kids. He eats kids. He kills kids. And that was enough for me to just be like... absolutely petrified of it as a kid, so I can't imagine how. But maybe it's just because, you know, it's different eras and stuff, right? Like, who can say for sure? Anyway, actually, you know what? That's another thing too. Was Five Nights at Freddy's. So Five Nights at Freddy's, of course, was, I think 2014 it came out, and this was 2015 when this was going down, right? And I remember FNAF 2 had just recently come, well, not recently come out, but FNAF 2 was out at this point. And I remember I wasn't really too interested in FNAF at the time. It just was kind of one of those things that just I really didn't capture my interest. I think it wasn't until like I was probably another year older that I was kind of like, it's kind of interesting. So I didn't know like any of the lore or anything, right? But I remember, I think it was on, I don't remember what. It was just some video probably, I'm sure, where I remember I saw like a bit of FNAF 2 gameplay and nothing scared me about it like at all. Except for goddamn Withered Chica. Withered Chica's... And maybe I'll put a picture up. I know it's not... Oh, no, maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a picture. Either way, look it up. It's like this chicken, and if you haven't seen Five Nights at Freddy's somehow, then I guess you wouldn't really know. But anyway, it's like a chicken with like this jaw that's like dehinged, and it's like doing this T-pose with like its hands missing. And it's kind of goofy looking, if I'm being real with you. But as a kid, for some reason, like that scared me. And it was one of those things where, again, staying in the room at night, for some reason, like would look over at corners and be like, oh my god, you know, I couldn't imagine seeing that when I wake up, and I'm actually gonna keel over it. As goofy and kind of embarrassing as it is, you know, it's just some of those goofy things from when you're a kid, and those things are kind of scary, and it's one of those tales, kind of like the one where I couldn't find the sword in Wind Waker, right? It's just another tale in the Kids Are Shat Chronicles in terms of how dumb they are. Not all kids, but I was a pretty dumb kid, to say the least, if this is the sort of stuff that I was concerned about, right? Anyway, that aside, let's talk about Zelda, should we? We should. So we got our dungeon item, and as you can see, that allows us now to check these sand piles, or dust piles. I think they're supposed to be dust, but they kind of look more like sand to me, and that fit more thematically wise, personally, but whatever. That allows us to check them. That allows us to move that box that was buried in sand, or dust, or whatever, from earlier in the story. I don't think I can actually reach that, can I? I don't think I can, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so it allows us to check these dust piles, which allows us to get around much faster and look around faster. Seems like a fan here, but blowing on it. But using the gust bells doesn't seemingly do anything. If we try to look around, you can see that there's seemingly no path here, because unfortunately the map doesn't really give us a ton to work with. But maybe there's something over there, so we're going to try to make a run for it, try to avoid this guy, and I believe we can just barely make it. And if we get over here and then get rid of this dust pile, have yet another time shift stone. Hitting that. Somehow this doesn't de-age either the blue blimp-looking guys, nor does it de-age the scorpion. Again, I don't really get how that works. Seems kind of like some weird logic, but whatever. Here we have these little platforms that now, once they have gone back to the past, you can actually use the gust bellows to move around. They're kind of like propellers or whatever, right? Kind of a scary and dangerous way probably to get around, but whatever. And we can also interact with this now because it's been derusted. Once it gets into this where the camera zooms back, all I have to do is hold down R2. You don't actually have to, or hold down the ZR, or depending on, you know, if you're on Wii or not, but all I have to do is hold down the button, and it should do the rest. It should automatically target it over. Another BMOS here. Nothing super difficult. Again, BMOS aren't all that tough as long as they don't notice you right away. If they do notice you, they launch a, like a plasma beam at you, that, or like a laser beam, I should say. They track you pretty liberally, to say the least. Oh, there we go. So here we have another new enemy, a Centrobe. The security drone was built in ancient times. It is armed with missiles fired from a central turret and flying bombs fired from both of its sides. Analysis suggests you can repel the missiles fired from the central turret when certain items are at your disposal, such as your shield. Yep. So if you have a shield and you are good at parrying, you can actually deflect the bombs back, or the missiles back at it. One of the other attacks it'll do is it'll launch these two little bombs here, which, as you can see from that blue, actually have two weaknesses, which you can slice down by slicing through the blue. If you don't time, they'll blow up and they'll do a decent amount of damage, but slicing them out of the way isn't all that difficult. Deflect them back again, and he's dead. Bit of a tougher enemy, and as you can see, he actually explodes at quite a bit of money, but unfortunately, since they're quite commonly found over gaps, you're very unlikely to get a ton of it, so it's kind of a scam if you ask me, but it's whatever. So here we're going to want to move the panel here. And once we've done that, we're actually going to... Okay, I guess my jump decided... My jump got eaten. I guess it's going to decide that I didn't have enough speed there for some reason, which is lovely. We're actually going to go back here, and I forgot about this, actually. I'm not even going to lie to you. We're going to make this come a little bit closer to us, and then we're going to jump over here and grab this chest, because, again, no chest left unlooted, I should say. Another monster horn. That's actually the third one we've gotten in a pretty short... Well, not third. That's the second we've gotten. Third in total. I think the first one we got was from the Bamboo Slice game. The second one was in one of the warehouses chests, and another one here. So good. We actually don't really have a use for those currently with any item we know of, but having them now hopefully means we don't have to grind for them later, so we'll take what we can get. Going on here, we're then going to move this, of course, back to this direction so we can make our way over here. There is a BMOS up there, so we want to keep an eye out because I don't really want to time it or mistime it to the point where it sees me when I'm working my way up. So let's peek up. Okay, it's good. It's looking away. You may just want to wait a second. If you... Oh, dang it. My motion control got a little janky. As you can see, that was the laser beam I was talking about. It stuns you. Thankfully, it doesn't just keep hitting you repeatedly. It gives you a bit of a invulnerability frame. Well, kind of. It just doesn't attack you for a little bit, I should say. Another windmill here. Or, yeah, it's a windmill, right? I think so. Or propeller, I should say. Windmill. A windmill, yeah, it's propeller. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Yep, so now we have another two of these guys we gotta watch out for. Again, let them do their first attack. Oh, I think I missed one. Oh, there we go, I got it. That's actually something interesting about these guys that I kind of forgot about, was the fact that you can actually hit the other skull if you miss it, as long as you do it pretty fast. Making them even less threatening than they were before, which is kind of interesting. Let's see here, we got some Deku Seeds. Haven't really used the slingshot a lot here, which is fine by me, to be honest with you. Just because, why waste our ammo now? Let's see. So we have, yep, another thing that's covered in dust. And apparently it's so dusty that it actually will, stop us from being, what's the word? Sorry, the recording was a little weird there, so I was a second. Anyway, looks a little weird. Something to note about this particular box is I think in the original version of Skyward Sword HD, I don't know if it was in the original game too, I know it's been patched since, I think this box could actually get stuck to the point where you couldn't progress in the game anymore. Don't worry, if you update the game though, I think it's patched, so you don't have to worry about it, but it is kind of one of those weird things. Also, remember I said the recording was acting weird? Well, it's because something on my keyboard got hit. What got hit on my keyboard, I don't know, but you want to know who hit it? Because it wasn't me. It was my freaking dog. You want to know what my dog did? My dog right now is sleeping on my bed. It's because she lays there sometimes, especially when I'm recording. She likes to, you know, lay. And next to my bed is a window, so she can look out and see some stuff that interests her or whatever, right? But get this. So I'm sitting here. I have my keyboard over there because why wouldn't I, right? Just so I can mute it because it's right next to me. My dog lays down and has their butt land right on my keyboard, and probably it's like 30 different keys. So I really don't know fully what she did. I'm just glad like she didn't stop the recording. But man, you gotta love pets and animals in general. They're great. Anyway, so yeah, going to work our way this direction. You can see there's a bit of a blocked area there we can't get access to currently. Looking around, let's see what we can find. We got an amber relic there. What's in here? There we go. Time shift stone. And thankfully we have some ammo for our slingshot because we can just shoot it through those bars. I don't believe the beetle can go through there, so you do need ammo, but thankfully they were kind enough to provide us with some here. And there we have yet another new enemy we're going to check out in a moment. So let's head down there. Let me get my gust fellows out. Let me target you first. Target lock, Armos. The security and defense mechanism was developed long ago. Attack anything that enters the security perimeter. According to my records, its weak point is its mouth, but requires some specific measures to make it open its mouth. Don't know why they would make a weak spot be in such a weird location, but okay. So what you want to do is use the gust bellows by targeting it. And as you can see, once you do that, its tongue will stick out on one side, and on the other, its mouth will open, and you'll have to do a stab technique. The main attack it'll do is just by ramming into using those spikes on the floor, as you can see there. That's its main way of attacking you. It is a bit of a bulkier enemy and a little confusing to fight, and especially if they put them in swarms, but they're not all that tough, thankfully, which is good because having to fight a lot of those is not fun. And killing him, or taking him out, or blowing him up, or however you want to pronounce that, really, because any way to describe it would work. We can now access this chest up here, which will give us the dungeon map at last. It shows the layout of the area and reveals unexplored rooms. Look at that. Wonderful. Beautiful, even. Some would say gorgeous. Me, personally, I would say good. I'm so sorry. I sound like I'm on something, but I swear to you, I'm just really tired. You know, real life stuff and all that, so. Anyway, we're here for that. We're here to have fun playing a goofy game of Zelda. Oh, another one here. I believe if we hit the switch, yep, that will open. So now we have quick access to that area, which is nice. Gotta love those shortcuts and make getting around here a little bit easier. And that'll get us access back to the main area there. Should you want to use that statue to leave the dungeon, of course you can. Finally, the map actually has the path marked under one of these things, which is good. So as you can see here, we have a bit of mark. Unfortunately, you can't place beacons in here, so you do have to just go with essentially the... I was gonna say flow, but I think it'd be funnier to say the blow because there's a blow button. Get it? Anyway, that's enough of that joke. Crawling into the ventilation here will allow us to actually progress because I believe we can't go forward in that direction. That's a dead end there. And there's a chest there. We'll check that out. Hopefully not claustrophobic, because that'd suck. And look at that. We have more scorpion babies, but we also have a painting there, which is kind of a funny little detail. And you can see one has like a bow tie, or not bow tie, yeah, bow tie, I think. No. What's it called? A goddess plume. That's good. I told you these are probably the rarest item in the game. This is the first one you're probably gonna get if you didn't find that secret one I told you about. Anyway, that's a, is that, it's just a tie. I think it's just a tie. Yes. It's just, why do I suck at everything I do? So you don't have to come over here. But again, a goddess plume, this one's much easier to spot than the one that we found earlier. Hi, you're not gonna attack me as soon as I get out of here, are you? You're gonna wait a second? Oh, thank God. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, you mother trucker. You cheater. I'm just gonna be gone. Anyways, yeah, you can get that. It's a nice little extra goodie. Don't really need to grab it, though, if you don't want to. Let's go this way. Oh, you're on the path, aren't you? I knew it. Get off me. Yep, I'm not even gonna fight you. I'm just gonna let you be. I just want to keep moving. Kind of want to run past this area, as it's a really annoying area to sit and fight enemies. It's just not my thing, so... Instead, we're going to... Get out of the way. I need to remove the dust there. Thank you. Yep, and let's get in here. Okay. Because once in here, I don't believe enemies can attack you, to my knowledge. Which is nice. Let's look around. A bit of a maze, which reminds me of Wind Waker, a game I've talked about quite a lot in this series. Which is kind of interesting, because there's no real major reason outside of, I guess, it's relevant, and it reminds me of certain parts of it. Because of the part in Wind Waker where you go through, like, a bit of a crawl maze you have to crawl through, so... You know, hopefully you're not too claustrophobic, but... So, you know, we're just covering all the bases. We have the tiny baby scorpions for arachnophobes, and we have the, tiny little crawl spaces for people who are claustrophobic. Gotta love it. We have quite the big room here, with a bunch of spikes, including spikes that are actually in the sand here that'll hit you. Thankfully, though, yep, we can actually remove the sand, and I believe this is sand. This one doesn't look really like dust. Like, these look like two things. Like, that looks like dust, this looks like sand. We can actually remove the sand using the gust bellows, allowing us to find our way through here a little bit safer, as we can then find where these spikes are at, without having to worry about just, you know, absolutely skewering our foot. We actually can clear the way a bit. And it makes getting through here just a tad safer than it would be otherwise. So we just use this as our bit of a I guess what's it called? The stick that the people who can't see, who are blind, need. And I don't say it as a joke. It's just you can use that as that. A dowsing rod, maybe? No, that's not what the blind stick's called, but it's kind of like a dowsing rod. I structure sentence very poorly today. Well, I always structure my sentences very poorly, but you know, that's besides the... Oh wow, you came out of nowhere. Yep. Bad. We have a few of these guys. Don't really want anything to do with them, so I'm just going to keep blowing them up whenever they spawn in. You can check under the sand. Sometimes you can find things like pots and stuff if you want to clear all of it out. I really don't want to clear all of it out. I just want to clear out a route forward so we know where we're going. In a semi-safe way. Let's break these. Maybe get a heart. Can I break this one? Does it have too much sand on it? Oh my god. Oh yeah, you see how the model slightly changed? It's because they're technically two different things. Another fairy on that one. Don't really need it, but... Well, I guess we do need it for that one heart. Don't really need to capture it, but... could if you want to. Got a bit of a chest there. Gonna find a way to that, of course, before we continue. Oh, and there we have a switch, which will open the door there, which actually I guess we needed to find that before we progressed. Oh, frick. I didn't even see you. So, yeah, there. If the little scorpion guys actually do clean onto you, they may not, they won't even do damage right away. They'll have to be chucked off before they actually take damage, or make you take damage, I should say, blue. So you have a bit of time to react, which is nice. They're not, like, super threatening enemies. They're more so just kind of gross. Get you out of the way. Need to remove more of the sand here before I can open this. And I believe it's just 20 rupees. Yeah, of course it is. But hey, you know what? It's 20 rupees. We'll take money. Is it worth almost getting skewered for? Absolutely not. But you know what? Who truly cares? I know you don't. I don't. So that's all that really matters. Heading up here, we are starting to hopefully approach Zelda. Again, last time we got berated for being late. And hopefully this time we're not. We didn't stop to play any mini games or anything like that. We just kind of, I mean, we did go back up to the sky or whatever, right? But we used an amiibo. That helped us save time. Hopefully. Yep, so here we actually have a time shift stone, which is the first, well, not the first one we found it in this dungeon, but as you can see, it's in a minecart with a bunch of other stones. You have to actually stab it to hit it. And once you hit it, be prepared, because it's actually going to start moving on its own here, and will form a path around it. This is the only way to progress, and as you can see, you kind of have to follow the rain, otherwise it will, you know, disappear. Because of how the aging stuff works. Thankfully, this first part's more of the tutorial. It gives you more than enough time. It's not a super long bridge, so as you can see, it disappears there. Teaches you to keep up with it, which is nice. Here, there's going to be an enemy we're going to have to get ready to deal with. It is one of those drones, you can see. Let's see if we can get into a good spot. Deflect it. There we go. And now he's going to launch, of course, the 2 bombs. It's kind of a cool idea for a puzzle where it's you have to stay near it. It's kind of like a tower defense game of sorts. You have to defend the crystal, even though they're not after the crystal, they're just after you. So it's more like just defend yourself, but while moving. Oh, I actually barely caught that one. I almost didn't hit that. Let's see, can we come over here and grab that, and grab that. Okay. So now we're going to hit this pinwheel here. What's it called? Why'd I forget? Oh, no, I didn't mean to, well, yeah. I didn't mean to use my shield. I moved my left hand, which has the left Joy-Con in it. Yeah, if you were to stop blowing with the gust bellows, then that will reset, which sucks. Anyway, here we have more Beamos, everyone's least favorite thing. You can't attack them due to where they're at, so what you want to do is actually use the minecart as a bit of a cover because it can't shoot past the minecart, as you can see there. It's used kind of like a wall. And thankfully after a little bit we'll get past it and it'll turn out old again. This one, however, we can fight, and unfortunately in a spot that's way too easy for us. It's way too easy for it to harm us. Man, this is the last episode I should record today. I'm not doing good with it. Which sucks, because this is a more major episode with stuff happening. We're exploring a whole dungeon. 2 more Beamos here. We just gotta keep on this side. Again, it's not too tough. I recommend just placing the camera on this side like this so you can kind of keep in pace with it. I just tap the Joy-Con, the left Joy-Con slightly to move out of the way, and then again, eventually we'll get far enough to the point where they, turn old again and get destroyed, so. What was the point of coming back over here, you may ask? Well, you can see here, Switch. Nintendo Switch, baby. That was a dumb joke, I apologize. Once the minecart gets this close... Oh, wait, he got DH? What the world? I actually didn't know they did that. We can use that pinwheel to make yet another shortcut over here, and then head over to this direction. So it's not just a shortcut. You don't have to go this way just for a shortcut. You can go over here because there's another bit of another minecart with the ore in it. The time... I can't think of the name. Time shift stone. See, up here there is a crate blocking us, and in case you're curious, we saw that earlier. The reason you can't just climb up is because that actually does block you from climbing up. Hit that one there. That'll allow us to start moving this way. Again, same logic applies, just follow it slowly, and watch out for Beamos. Again, kind of cool puzzle idea, but it's just, again, at this point, I'm just kind of like, when I play this game, I'm like, okay, this is kind of slow and tedious, but, you know, I like these puzzles, and I think that this one's kind of cool, having to use the minecart and stuff. I'm actually going to run over here, though, and just fight this guy head-on, because we can. I just want to get rid of him, so we don't have to worry about him later. Keep an eye on the minecart on the corner ride, make sure it doesn't leave us behind, though thankfully it is very slow, which is good for us, because that makes this much easier. Get your gust bellows ready once you get close to this area, because, as you can see there's a old pinwheel that has been aged. You're going to want to start doing this to it, because as soon as the minecart hits it, you're going to be stuck in position, of course, and have to move it. Which means that, of course, the ground around you is going to start to disappear. So you want to make sure you're in a good spot so that you don't run out of time last second or anything like that. These switches essentially will call the minecart to you, so if you get over here, you can just speed up the process a little bit by going on and grabbing it. Then all I have to do is hit it, and then hit it again. And that'll start it up and make it go in the opposite direction. A little tedious, but it's fine. And the reason we do that is because since we unlocked this gate here, we can actually go through there, but we're going to have to, of course, wait until we have a path there, since the minecart is a bit slow, as I mentioned. Let me think here. What do I want to talk about? Again, still learning this stuff. I'm not one who just rattle out random things every now and then. I'm just not very good at that, so I'm trying my best to get that going, especially because this is like an uncut thing. And I'm thinking of doing gameplay in the future for games that I can cut through. But this isn't one of them, of course. As you can see here, we have steam coming out of these pipes. Steam's not good. Don't hit it, otherwise it'll go flying off the edge, and it will hurt. Not good. Here, can't reach all these guys. You can actually just use the gust bells, I believe, yep, to eventually fling them off instead of having to use anything like a slingshot. You have some more steam there. Watch out. A bit of, don't know why they put spikes on their stuff. Again, that really feels like this wasn't intended to be a factory. This feels more like it was intended to be a dungeon all along, but you know, maybe that's because it actually was, but whatever. We gotta break these. We're not gotta. We don't gonorrhea. We don't have to. I'm going to. Is what I'm trying to. Man, oh man, I suck a lot. Another thing I'm looking forward to actually is both Terraria and Stardew Valley are getting another update this year. I think it's supposed to be quote unquote Terraria's final update, and then Stardew Valley is also getting another update. And I'm very excited for both those games. I like them a lot. So I'm very excited to see them both get updates. Hopefully, get out here. I can't wait for that. There's honestly a lot of exciting stuff for gaming this year. Of course, there's the potential for the Switch 2 or whatever is coming next to have some news, maybe. A lot of games are getting remakes. As I said, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I mean, there's so many things coming out this year for gaming already that we know of, and it's pretty cool and it's exciting, right? And I'm hoping we're actually going to get a Nintendo Direct semi-soon, is my hope. Mostly so we get a few more things to look forward to, but mostly for me, it's because I want to see what the release date is for Thousand Year Door. I can think of it for a second. So here we have more conveyor belts and more future stuff. Hitting this switch will call this back to us, which is nice that they implemented that because, of course, you couldn't make your way over here without it. And now we can use, of course, our gust bellows to make our way over once more. Come on, there you go. I have a path here we really can't get to because can't reach that one there. I have a switch here, which will do the same as it did on that side, which will call it over. So that is nice. What is over here? It seems like we have a bunch of statuettes again. And these, I understand what the realistic purpose was. They're just meant to look nice, right? But whereas the opposite is the totem poles are put in different places. Like these are placed in the wall to just be like a nice looking thing. So anyway, as you can tell by that sound effect, these are important to break down, and they give that zoom out. And all of that will help. Oh, another guy here. I recommend actually probably fighting him here before we do the next step of the dungeon, just because it's a little bit easier to fight him in this location than it is in the other place. Not gonna lie, these enemies are kind of cool to fight, but they're also just, again, really tedious and slow, which I guess could go for a lot of the fights in Skyward Sword, is just because you have to, a lot of it's reaction-based, and don't get me wrong, there of course should be some reaction-based dodging and stuff, but also I barely hit that, and thought it was actually gonna damage my shield for a second. Also, that landed right in our pockets, that was coming right to us, do you see that? But anyway, yeah, so I know a lot of the fights in Skyward Sword could be kind of characterized as slow, but I don't know, for me I kind of like the fact that it is different, and I am glad that this, what in the world just happened there with Link? I am kind of glad this isn't what they, like, made the, default for the Zelda series. I'm glad that we have, I mean, I'm not saying I don't want to ever see another motion control journey. I think it'd actually be cool to see what they do with it going forward with, like, more better technology and stuff. But I am certainly glad that this isn't, like, seen as the default, because, you know, it's definitely not a flawless gameplay. I mean, no game is, right? But it's not like it's one that inherently is going to have flaws with it, in particular just because of the motion control stuff and having it be reaction-based. Going over here, as you can see, we have more statues. These ones a bit harder to get to and do basketball with, just because of where they're at. As you can see, though, You may already be able to put 2 and 2 together, but if not, don't worry, it'll kind of come self-explanatory in a second. These are kind of mimicking the other side in terms of they're copying them almost exactly for symmetry, which again makes sense if these were made to just look good, which seems realistic. Because again, I don't really know what other real reason there would be to have statues with pots in their hands and have that scattered throughout your factory and, you know, whatnot. As you can see, 3 switches on this side. The other side had 3 panels, as you can see over there. And that is your indicator, in case you can tell, of which ones to hit first. So what you're going to do is get over to this area here, which you can use. Because you don't have to actually just go back and forth. You can use the just this spot. So you can see we have one panel that direction in that spot. Hit that one. That one on the far right has 2. Oh, there we go. And of course, the last one has 3. Hitting that one third. There you go. If you hit it in any other order, I don't think anything happens other than it just resets and doesn't open anything. So it's not the biggest deal if you mess that up, but you know, kind of annoying. Oh, are you moving down there? Oh, you're patrolling. That's terrifying. Remind me not to fall down there. Actually, one thing I do want to check is up there, because the other area had a time shift stone in this little like hanging area. This one has a pot. Money in the pot. Okay, 1 rupee. I don't really feel like looking at the other ones. Watch, like, the other 2 have like 100 rupees and stuff, and I just passed up on it. I really hope not. But I really don't foresee it being that useful, so. Anyway, getting over here. You may have seen when it zoomed in, you can see a very ornate chest, and we know what that typically means, at least in past dungeons, along with these new enemies here. I'm actually going to go around you and hit the thrust one hopefully first. Oh, I recommend trying to go for the thrust one first, just because generally it's a little bit tougher. Though, again, it's quite often possible that you actually won't be able to. Oop, that was close. See, when they put 2 against you, it can actually be much tougher, but thankfully we were able to get out of one of the aggro range for the other one, making it much easier, because if we only take on one, that significantly makes us easier. Since we can just take our time then and not worry about getting, you know, another person on us when we're trying to focus on one. I'm just going to fall back, because generally I haven't been able to be fast enough anyway at this point to immediately get to the other side. And yeah, that's way easier. Just falling back after you break one and letting them come at you again is much faster. And what do we have in this ornate chest? Is it going to be 3 for 3 in what they give us? Indeed it is. You got the ancient circuit. It's made of shining gold. It also looks like it may be part of something. The surface is inlaid with circuitry. Some reason, I guess we know that. I, again, don't really know how Link knows what circuitry is, but whatever. Because this should be all be, like, kind of all be foreign objects to him, right? Anyway. So up here we have a door there, which we're going to try to go to. It's down there on the first floor. So we're going to work our way down there. Which hopefully, since we have this carving, that'll tell us we're getting close to being able to finally make it to Zelda. Because even though we weren't distracted by minigames with Minesweeper and whatnot, to be honest with you, it already feels like we're running behind. Though hopefully we're going fast enough not to. There are 2 made up... Really? Link, you have to do a roll there? Huh? I understand doing the roll helps break your fall a little bit because it spreads where all the force is coming in onto your body, but come on, man. But yeah, hopefully we're not running too far behind. Of course, falling off into that deep abyss didn't slow us down at all, so as I was mentioning, thank God. we're keeping up real good. We're going to go up here. I know, I like how I keep mentioning, I hope we're keeping up and not going super slow, and, you know, we're not going to be late this time, and yet meanwhile I'm like, oh, let's go do this on the side. Let's go open this chest over here that isn't required whatsoever for us to progress. Yeah, so we can go over here, get a small chest, nothing super valuable. I believe it's 20 rupees, like it usually is. Yep, 20 rupees. Nothing that make you gonna scream, but he can also get a bit of a shortcut going that lets us get back to that statue if you want to leave to restock. Once again, use those to your advantage if you need them, but there's no real reason for us to. We have everything I could possibly need or want right now. So we're going to jump down here, do the roll, and we have another... Well, actually, wait, why would you do that? What's the point of that? Because there's no statue here. I forgot that. Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, so here we have yet another minecart segment. Minecart segment. There we go. Hitting that will cause us to move forward, and this time it's probably the most difficult it's going to get, which is fitting because, you know, it seems like hopefully it's going to be the last time we have to do this. We're going to have to try to match our speed on this with the minecart, so that way it seals over the steam there in the back. It's really not all that hard, but it is probably the hardest that this puzzle gets, to be honest with you. But it's still not that bad. If they made it last much longer, or if the radius wasn't as wide, then yeah, it'd be pretty rough. Either way, let's see. Got every chest, yep. I can't douse in here, I guess, for some reason, but according to this, Zelda's aura is that way, so we'll trust it. And then we have to fajangle this. Oh boy. Okay, so let's see. We have... I need to see the shape behind it. We have one that ends right like that. Up there. So my thought is it's actually going to be... Because let's see, we have to look which side's longest, right? We're going to want to look at which side's longer, probably. Because looking at it like this, it's going to be... Like, that's too long. We can just kind of tell it's too long. So my thought is it's going to be... Huh. Ooh, wait. I just figured this out. Hold up. So yeah, see how, like, they're kind of disjointed, right? It doesn't make, like, a perfect, like, symmetric shape. That's kind of our key. No pun intended. We have to figure out which side provides us with that uneven placement. Of course, there's only so many ways we can check. If you couldn't tell, this part is something that I don't have really too much memory of how to go about it, in terms of I don't remember one for one what to do. So that's why. But yeah, there we go. So once you find the spot that's a little unsymmetrical, then it's not that bad. Arachnophobes, beware, 1,000-year arachnid. Molderic. Kind of funny I mentioned 1,000-year door because we have a 1,000-year-old bug here. Yep, it is a giant scorpion. Again, beware if you are at all squeamish to bugs. This fight has you pit in an arena with a giant scorpion. As you can see, his claws have eyes on it because if it doesn't have extra eyes on it, it's not a Zelda boss. I can assure you that much. What you'll have to do is wait for its claws to open. And once it does so, you can then swing if you get the, of course, the direction correctly with how its claws are currently open. Then you can hit it and do damage to it. Hit the eyes, of course. There, it will try to grab you if you are not fast enough to hit it, which will then mean you'll have to break free. Of course, you'll take damage along the way. You'll just want to be ready to dodge out of the way. As you can see, one of the eyes will turn red when it's going in to try to grab you. You'll want to make sure you keep an eye on both even when they're closed, so that way you can keep an eye on when you're going to actually have the advantage. There we go. Once they both take enough damage, you can take out both of the claws, which is nice. Once it has one claw down, though, it will start using its tail as a whip. The best option is to completely backflip out of the way, though I believe you can perfect guard it. Now we got rid of both his claws. He has one more eye in his middle, in the middle of his face, which hopefully is his last eye. You'll then start going under the sand. This is where you'll want to use our dungeon item, of course, in the boss, which is, again, pretty notorious for Zelda, to clear out his hiding spot and know where he's at, and that'll then force him to come back up to the sky. You'll also then start pooping out babies at some point, which is terrifying. And for there, you want to get close and stab him in the eye. When his eye turns red, of course, that means he's going in for attack, but if you're fast enough, it shouldn't matter. There are, of course, jars and stuff on the sides, or not jars, barrels that you can get hearts from if you need them. And if you didn't, of course, or if you run out, you have hopefully a healing potion or something. Leave him in the sand too long, he will do an attack, so just try to get him out of there as fast as possible. Oh, get out of the way immediately. Oh, yep, so there was his charge attack he tried to do, so there he immediately tried to do it. He's going to try to do it again. As long as you jump from the sides, you should be pretty good. That's his tail swipe. See if we can get a little closer. Oh, for a stab, maybe? Oh, there we go. Oh. There we go. Not too tough of a fight. For a giant bug, you know, he looks more intimidating than I think he actually is, but either way, we've squashed this insect. That wasn't even really funny or a joke. You know what's kind of terrifying is the fact that... well, when we got Heart Container, that's not terrifying. Your life is increased by 1, is now fully replenished. Yep. It's the fact that the 2 bosses before this, one was Girahim himself, the other was a creature seemingly Girahim created. I don't think Girahim created that scorpion. I think that's just an actual creature that happens to live here on the surface. I really don't blame the goddess for getting rid of the... or not getting rid of the humans, but for helping the humans flee from this place. We have creatures like that just roaming around by default. Here we have quite the interesting area. You can hear all the echo effect, and we have this long hallway. You can see all these statues of the robots we've been encountering with their little salute. Also have a bit of a interesting small sound attack. I don't know what I'm saying. Sound track was what I was trying to say. That I do know. Hitting that. And this is just such a pretty area. And thankfully you're given a decent amount of time to appreciate it. So much has led up to this point if you really think about it. The day of that ceremony that we worked so hard for, even though we really didn't work all that hard for. Zelda getting taken. This long journey we've had to go on, meeting Fee, helping multiple people. 3 dungeons. 2 times being too late. Hopefully this time we'll get there fast enough to help her. Impa! You race quickly to the gate. Link! Link, here. You'll need this where you're going. You got the goddess harp, but there's no time to admire it. Go, now! Link. No, you're right on time. Link. You must go now. Return to the old woman at the sealed grounds. Tell her what happened here. She'll know where you must go. I know that we will. I'll see you again. This isn't goodbye, Link. I promise. Now you've done it, Link. I blame myself. I should have reprimanded you the last time we met, but instead I was soft. I'd take pleasure in punishing you, but I have no time for recreation. But next time, I'll do more than just beat you senseless. I'll make the affair so excruciating you'll deafen yourself with the shrill sound of your own screams.